welcome to the Pure Michigan Properties podcast. We're now on the 23rd episode, and we could not do this without you. And for starters, I'm Shalonda Wather, one of your hosts. Alongside me, I have...
Hey, my name is Dylan Mostyn.
Dylan.
Shalonda.
How you feeling today?
I'm a wee bit tired.
Okay.
That's why I have my coffee.
That's fair. That's fair.
How are you?
Likewise.
Yeah.
Not tired. I'm just depleted on energy.
Okay.
That's it.
So, at least you get some water, got H2O.
Absolutely.
Doing better than me. I need to be drinking more water.
Well, they included H2O in there.
Yeah,
so.
there's just a wee bit of a kick of a caffeine in there.
Sometimes it's necessary.
But you look bright like the sun with your yellow shirt on.
You know what? Today I did wake up and intentionally put on the yellow just because I didn't have the energy that I felt like I needed to get through the day.
Yeah.
So I figured, let me bring some sunshine into someone else's life.
Aw, I love it. Well, it brightens up the room today.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Well, you want to get into today's episode, Dylan?
Yes, let's talk about it. So I thought, let's have a conversation between the similarities and differences between a buyer's agent and a listing agent. Two different types of agencies, agencies that do two different jobs, right? We just hear about real estate agents,
yes,
but some specialize in just listings, some specialize in buyers, some don't even specialize in either of those. But I thought it would be a good opportunity to break it down and talk about what they do, the similarities and differences, and what makes most sense for the client.
Absolutely.
For what they're looking for.
Yeah, so let's jump into it. Let's discuss it. In previous episodes, we've gone over agency relationships.
Yeah.
And so now we're going to dive into the details of what that is, what the role and responsibilities of a buyer agent and listing agent is.
Right, like what is the general requirements that your agent should be doing for you? Some agents do go above and beyond and do different other things like packages in their ways of the business.
Indeed.
But just like as a general like layout, like I know I've seen online like 100 jobs that your real estate agent should do, right? Like there's those kind of things, but we're gonna break it down in simple terms of what an agent does, even behind the scenes, because I've heard from people, agents don't do anything, they make a ton of money. Well,
we know that's not true.
That's not true. Trust me, if we're working.
We're working, absolutely.
There's a lot of things behind the scenes that our clients don't see, and sometimes we just don't even tell them because we don't want to stress them out, but sometimes I do tell my clients what I'm doing, because then it's like, okay, at least he's working, right? It's not like he's just sitting on the couch eating some chips.
And I think it's critical that we begin to explain to the clients what we're doing behind the scenes each step.
Yeah.
You know, when we go to our doctor's office, we expect for them to break down their process and things like that. And we're just as valuable, you know, if not more, especially to some individuals.
100%. I mean, I know some people, and I think we both worked with people who are very grateful for the opportunity just to even give them education behind the whole process, because it gave them power and it made them feel more confident going through.
That's right. So you want to jump into the listing side of things?
Yeah, so let's talk about the listing side first. So the first thing that happens is usually you get a phone call and it's like, hi, I'm Joe Schmo and I'm looking to sell my house on 123 Main Street. Great, Joe, let's have a conversation about that. So it all starts with a phone call or a conversation in some sort of capacity, whether that's text, email, whatever.
Some form of communication.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Correct. And usually there's some follow-up questions with that. So tell me about the house. Where is it located? But I don't really get into the specifics of everything. I just want to know just general, like, have you done any updates? Because what I do on my end is before I set an appointment to go to that house and go see it, I'll run some comparables in the area and just see what things have been selling for. What's the market snapshot of that neighborhood, area, whatever, just so I can go into that appointment with some knowledge.
Absolutely. And so I believe that begins the cultivation intake phase but also I consider it the needs analysis.
Yeah.
But the needs analysis is broken down into two portions from my perspective.
Okay.
And so during that initial call, I'm finding out some of the information, and then once I get to the appointment, which is next, I'll let you explain.
Yeah.
Then we figure out what the rest of the needs are.
So what's like your phone call looking like?
So the phone call is going over, introducing myself, of course, figuring out what their call is for, and going over the agency relationship as we discussed prior.
Yes.
And again, like you said, just getting some information about the property that, that the subject property. Aside from that, just what are you looking for in a real estate agent?
Right. I think that's an important question to ask. And then as soon as I finalize that phone call, I'll send a follow up email. Just going over the phone call again, making sure I have all the information correctly written down, and then what I want to implement into my business is actually doing like a quick introduction video and putting that in the email of like, hi, my name is Dylan Mostyn. I am your local realtor in the area.
Indeed.
This is what I bring to the transaction. I look forward to meeting you, all that kind of stuff. Just so they can put a face to the name.
Exactly. And that's fair enough. I love that ideal. And here's the thing, too, and I lost my train of thought. That was excellent. Like you were saying, though, we ask certain questions, the need analysis, we ask certain questions just because we can find out typical information, standard, but as far as updates and upgrades to the home, we may not necessarily have that information.
Right.
And so when we move on to our next step, which will be the appointment, we like to be prepared and be able to have the appropriate comps.
Exactly. I mean, if you're going to walk into a house and you didn't even ask if they've done any upgrades and maybe they've added on an extra bedroom, if you comped the area for 2 bedrooms but there really is a 3-bedroom, your comps aren't going to lie exactly to what the subject property is.
Absolutely.
And now you're just going to be in that listing appointment and you're going to fumble.
Yeah.
Because you have no clue really where the price is supposed to be at now. Unless you're like an expert in that area and you work it heavily, you're off the top of your head, you're not going to know.
And that's one reason why I asked, what is it that, one is looking for in a realtor? Because some individuals do look for individuals that specialize in the specific area. And if I'm going to be realistic, I know that everyone's needs I'm not going to be able to service as much as I like.
Right.
Or would like to, but realistically, it doesn't work.
And honestly, sometimes you just don't want to work with those kind of people either.
That's right.
I mean, there's times where like I've hosted an open house and I'm like, oh God, thank God I'm not their client. No offense, but I just know we would be very much like it just wouldn't work out.
Absolutely.
So as much as like there's people who wouldn't want to work with me, there's people I wouldn't want to work with either.
True.
On that aspect of things. It's a two-way street in this business. I mean, it's a belly-to-belly, face-to-face kind of thing. And,
I love that.
You're not going to match with everyone.
That's right.
So
after we get over the initial intake, what's the next step?
The next step is I'll do my background information. I'll run the comps. I will learn more about the area, the subdivision, the subject property, see what's going on with it. Has it been sold previously? Has the neighborhood had developments to it, right? There's what's going on with the area. Has there been a huge increase in businesses going up? Has there been businesses going down? Did they build up a school? You just want to learn about the area.
Indeed.
Because as much as we're selling a house, we're selling an area.
That's right.
So I like to know that before going in, if I don't know the area right off the top of my head. And then usually I like to go and drive by the house, even before the actual appointment.
Absolutely.
Just so like I can see it beforehand. I don't have to go on my appointment and be surprised by anything. Just helps me out, and honestly it relieves a lot of the anxiety of the unknown before going into my appointment, because I want to be 100% confident going into my appointment.
That's right.
So I'll do that beforehand. Does it take time? Yeah, but it's worth it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I'll go on to my appointment, usually. And one thing I want to add is I will always try to set that appointment as soon as possible. So if someone calls and they're asking for, oh, can we do it next week? Well, do you have preferably time tomorrow? I will always do a 24-hour window between that first call and when we have that appointment.
Okay.
I'll never do anything before 24 hours, but I don't want to extend it up too long to where like now like that motivation has sunk.
I got you. Understandable. And that's one thing in our processes where we differ. I typically schedule out 48 hours.
Okay.
Just because I've been time blocking activities. And so in all fairness to both me and the client, I want to be able to give, do my due diligence.
Right.
And prepare the information in a manner where it's well received. And so for that reason, and not to rush the process unless, they're like, hey, I need to sell right now, then we'll 48 hours is typical turnaround time for me to get out to an appointment.
I think that's fair, and honestly, I think that's even more respectful than what I'm doing. I'm just like, okay, at least 24 hours and then we're good to go.
Well, you know what? But some people like that, right? Yeah, absolutely.
And I also think that first initial phone call will kind of give you all those like clues of where that client's at. Mm-hmm. If they're like, oh, we don't know if we want to do updates and upgrades or like fix things. Okay, now I'm starting to think that you're gonna want to slow this down a little bit more. But if it's someone who's like, oh, I'm getting a divorce and I need to move out in a month. Okay, well, we need to start now.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
So that first phone call will give you a lot of answers and it'll tell you a lot about what the situation you're going into. You're good. But then, I'll go on my appointment.
Okay.
So going on the appointment, what it looks like is I always show up 10 minutes early. Always. Mm-hmm. At least 10 minutes early. That's my number one rule. I will drive around the neighborhood again. Yeah. Because I already did it the first time, but I'll do it again. Just because, sometimes things change.
Yeah, you have a fresh pair of eyes now.
Exactly. It's different, right? Yeah. Now you're actually, I consider it in the game, right? Now you're playing it, now you need to start learning, right? So I will drive around the neighborhood again, and if I'm, super early, I'll kind of just, park away from the house, and then I'll just do more research, at the end of the day, our job is to do research. Yeah. So either I'll be getting my mindset together, playing some music that makes me feel really good, confident, listen to a podcast maybe, but really just getting in the zone. Mm-hmm. Then I will always knock on that door 5 minutes early, and I make a joke about it to the clients. I'm like, I'd rather be early than late. I never like to be on time because on time is late to me as well. So usually most people find that super respectful, and if not, then I said, I can wait the 5 minutes. It's not that big of a deal. Okay. The first thing that we do is walk the house. Yes. We like to see the house. I want the homeowner to show me. I always start on the outside of the house. Mm-hmm. Walk me through the outside first, and then we'll go inside. I already have my shoes on, so outside. Now you're getting them outside of their territory. Okay. Just a wee bit. It's nothing uncomfortable, but right. It's different. They didn't think that, and most agents don't do that.
And you know what? I didn't think of that. So typically I do show up early, mm-hmm. and a couple minutes before the scheduled time, I walk the perimeter of the home. But I'm also letting the prospective client know on our initial phone call, hey, I'll arrive a little bit early. Mm-hmm. I'll knock on time, but a couple minutes prior, I'll take a look at the perimeter.
Okay. So you're already letting them know on the phone call, just so they're not like, who's this random woman outside?
Exactly. Walking around.
Is this really my agent?
Right? Some random person is outside. I don't know what's going on.
The neighbor's just like, hey, homeowner, I think you have someone looking at you.
Intruder.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I do like that. I like to bring them along in case I do see something like an issue, like if there's like a crack in the foundation, I can ask about that and say, hey, do you know about this? Or if you don't know about this, let me kind of see what we can do about it. So, and then usually like I'll ask more questions like, how old is the roof? You know, have you done any upgrades to the outside? Like, have you worked on your deck, your patio, right? All those kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Gets the conversation starting to flow. And usually that's just a couple minutes outside. It's nothing like, it's not 30 minutes.
Right. Oh, yeah. No.
It's just a quick, like, let's just walk the perimeter and then we'll go back right inside.
Indeed. I like that.
So then we'll go inside and I just tell them, do you mind if I take some notes? I have a notepad with me. Tell me about your house. And I want you to tell me anything and everything you can.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you can sell it to me, that means I can do my best job selling it to someone else now.
Yes.
So I'm like, tell me the stories, tell me the upgrades, the finishes, the materials, when you bought it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know, like all the, just every single thing under the sun. And usually this takes between 15 to 20 minutes, actually.
Okay.
So, because I like to go into detail, especially even like if I see their family photo on the wall. I'm like, hey, tell me about this, right? 'Cause
who's this? In the
exactly.
photo?
You know, when you're starting to build that relationship
Yeah.
up with them. So it's part of my process, what I do. After we walk the house, I'm like, great, do you mind if we now go into my listing presentation? I'll tell you what I do as an agent, my marketing proposal. I'll run my comps with you.
Mm-hmm.
And then as long as everything sounds good to you, we can get this ready to go.
Right. Indeed.
So that's kind of where I go with the listing process. Tell me about yours.
So with my process, it's similar to yours. So let's start with the arrival. I arrive typically 10 minutes, 15 minutes maybe
Mm-hmm.
prior to the appointment time, and a couple minutes before I'm walking on the perimeter of the home.
Mm-hmm.
As long as, you know, there's no animals.
Fair enough.
I knock on time, typically introduce myself. Sometimes I kind of make a joke, it just depends, or I always start with a compliment. And so,
Compliment's the best way to start, right? I mean, who doesn't like receiving a compliment?
exactly, you know, it just brightens someone's day, in my opinion. We'll first tour the property, like you said, make notes and things like that, just try to get an understanding of the home.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, that's what it's been like to someone. It's been a home,
Right.
right? It's not just a property.
Exactly.
And so after, you know, we toured the property, I'll jump right into it because I don't want to waste anyone's time. You know, I want to be able to cover all the information
Mm-hmm.
in its entirety.
Right.
It's extensive information that we're going over. And so we'll start by just getting an understanding of, again, why are they selling the property? What is their biggest why?
Mm.
Things like that.
Right.
We'll determine pricing during this listing presentation, home repairs, staging, things like that. Uncover what the comps are,
Mm-hmm.
which are the comparables, things
Right.
like that. You know, the marketing strategy,
Mm-hmm.
different technologies, different, and I'll even ask for their input, especially when it comes to market. How should I market your home? How do you think I should market your home?
What is the responses you usually get off that question?
So most people just know about the internet.
Okay.
And so I ask questions like, where do you like to go? Where do you hang out?
Yeah.
Because typically like-minded people are found in the same spaces.
Right.
And so I think that's been a big win so far. And, you know, we'll wrap things up again once we look up the data. I always ask on a scale when it comes to home value, where do they think their value ranks?
Yeah.
Once we determine the value of the home, looking at square footage and price per square feet and things like that, whatever the case may be, it's
Right.
extensive. And then if they're ready, we're ready.
Good to go.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
One question I love to ask my sellers is, 1 out of 10, what would you rate the property? 10 being like it's the ultimate home for anyone. It's like your dream, right? 1 being like you can barely live in it. And I've had some interesting responses. I've had a couple people say 10. I'm like, tell me more about that.
Okay.
I'm like, where are you getting that number from? Because I'm like, I've seen now that I've walked through the house.
Yeah.
Bump it down to a 5.
Let's be realistic and
Yeah.
humble ourselves.
But you know what? I also understand with the seller's mindset that to them that's their 10,
Okay.
right? To the general population, it's not a 10. So you also have to factor that in. It's just to get a gauge of how prideful, I guess, they are of their property.
Sure.
If someone's saying that they're a 10, they're very proud of that property for one reason or another. And then I'll start diving more deep into that kind of question. So like, what do you like about this house? Like, tell me your standout features. And then it just leads down the whole like rope of things to understand how I'm going to market this property.
Indeed.
So kind of back to like your thing of, you ask your sellers, well, how do you want me to market your property? Like, obviously you see stuff online, but here's all the other resources we have. What do you like? What do you not like? Some people don't want a yard sign in their lawn. Some people don't want to do a virtual tour. Some people don't want to do open houses, you know? So
That's right.
I also have to respect that aspect of my clients and understand what they feel comfortable with, what they don't feel comfortable with. Some people want you at every single showing. Some people don't want you at all the showings. I tell my clients I can't do my job if I'm showing your property every single time.
Right.
We'll get into it, but a buyer's agent, right? They'll bring their clients who are already vetted to the home. So it's just those conversations.
Absolutely.
And then as soon as I wrap up the presentation, usually I'll give them the paperwork. I'm like, let's go over this really quickly. I'll go over all the forms, all the documents. I'll explain it to them. This is also part of the email that I'll send them
That's
as well.
right.
It gives them the forms as well, but I just say, I don't need you to fill these out. I just need you to overlook them so that when we go on the appointment, you already have questions in your hand or in your thoughts.
Right. Absolutely.
Because if I just presented them right now, you're going to be overwhelmed.
Yeah, and it takes time to go over those forms. You know, there's quite a few of them, and then we want to make sure that we get through the forms and answer any questions that they may have. Absolutely.
Exactly. So then after that, usually, if they don't sign right then and there, then what we'll do is I'll follow up with them usually the next day, and I'll say, I know you have 24 hours to digest everything. I know there's more questions that you just didn't think of on the appointment. What questions can I answer for you now? Already assuming they have those questions.
Okay.
Most people are like, no questions. I usually am going to go meet with another realtor or whatever. I want to interview. And I'm like, fair enough. Go get another opinion. But if you have any questions, you have my number, right? Best comes to best. I get the listing. Let's say they sign. And then we start the listing process, which means photography. So I will have my professional photographers come in. They'll shoot the property. That's no cost to the seller. That's a cost that I eat up for them.
Absolutely.
Which photography is one of the most important parts about listing a
Absolutely.
house. If I don't want to shit on another agent, but if you're gonna use your phone as photography,
Listen, right?
Yeah.
It's a no-go. It is a no-go.
If I went into an interview and the agent's like, yeah, I'm going to shoot it with my iPhone, please leave.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. So one of the listings that I had, or that I have, the seller actually didn't want any photos.
Oh, is it that one in the yellow house?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, hey, gotta get some photos of the property.
Right.
And so I end up taking photos with my phone.
Yeah.
And then it was a back and forth with the scheduling and things like that. Just really got difficult.
Yeah.
And so it's like, you know what?
That was a special circumstance, to be honest. Like, obviously, since the seller was requesting that you didn't use photos, fine, we won't use professional, but I still need to put something out there.
Absolutely.
So,
But for the most part, most people want photos of their home
Yeah.
because essentially that's kind of what sells your home.
100%.
You know, when individuals are shopping for properties, that's what they're looking for. They're looking at the
100%.
pictures.
Right. I mean, if your house doesn't show well in photos, they're not going to want to go see it. That's just
Bingo.
basic psychology.
Bingo.
Bingo.
I love it.
Yeah, so for that photography, and then I like to also say with my sellers, my photographer will send you a list of things to get done before they show up, so it will be the best. So, like, open the blinds, make sure the toilet lids are closed, right? Like, just like basic
Okay.
little things that my photographer won't have to do, so they're not wasting more time in your house.
Absolutely.
When we could be moving this process a little bit longer. It's nothing crazy, just like little tiny things, right?
Indeed.
Make sure the bed's made,
Right.
you know, fluff the pillows, like
Yeah.
just simple stuff. I mean, it's a list, but
Fun fact about me, right? I am the best bed maker
really,
for 2 reasons.
Okay.
I was a CNA, certified nurse assistant,
Uh-huh.
and so they teach us how to make beds. But prior to that, I had already known how to make beds. My aunt, she was a homemaker, so she was a housewife and things like that.
Uh-huh.
And I spent most of my time with my aunt, and my uncle was in the military, and so you gotta have those beds tight.
oh, I
You gotta be able to bounce that quarter off that bed. So
that's so funny.
just throw it out there.
Yeah.
Anybody need any bed makers?
I'll call Shalonda.
Don't call me.
Oh.
I'll get you someone though.
I really thought you were gonna go. I was so confident. That's funny. That's so funny. Don't call me. After she just told you the best pitch for how good she makes beds, do not call Shalonda.
Not calling you to make your bed, but I'll sell your house. Now, if I'm selling your house, then I'll make your bed.
Yeah, that's your mofer.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll make.
I'll sell. Let me sell your house and I'll make your bed.
Exactly. There we go.
That's a good one. I like
you
it.
know what? They use it.
You gotta work with Shalonda now.
No, that's it. Especially if you don't like making me your bed.
Shalonda's your girl.
That's it. So,
So photography,
Yeah.
and then some people want to do like a deep clean beforehand.
Yeah.
I just had a seller that just did that. We'll get that scheduled.
mhm.
Staging, if we do staging, sometimes we could do virtual staging. It's a lot easier.
Yes.
It's typically can be cheaper.
Okay.
It's just another option. And then we talk about getting when we're listing it and then when we're going on the market.
That's all right.
So I like to use the marketing strategy of a coming soon. What I'll do for a lot of my sellers, as long as it lines up with the timeline of things, is I'll put it coming soon on a Wednesday, live on Friday, but showings can't start until 4 p.m. But at 4 p.m., I will be hosting an open house for that property.
Okay.
So I'm going to be the first face in front of that house.
Okay.
So when potential agent, or well, not potential, but when agents come and potential buyers come,
That's right.
I'm the first person that I get to shake their hand
Okay.
and say, listen, maybe I don't want to talk bad about buyer's agents, but sometimes the buyer's agents don't do a lot of the research beforehand.
Right.
So I'd like to be there at least to give all that information in case the buyer's agent's clients don't know something.
That's right.
And the buyer's agent doesn't know it. Hey, just want to throw it out to you. The HOA fee is $380 a month.
Okay.
So because sometimes there's little questions that they have that might affect whether they want to put an offer or not.
Absolutely.
And I at least want to make sure that they have all the knowledge under their belt to make them feel confident.
And I like that marketing strategy. I may have to use it a
Thank
time
you.
or two.
I've got it from a couple agents in his office.
Okay.
And they said it works beautifully. And excuse me, this coffee is really. Sold it that
Yes.
weekend, so
That was a fantastic listing. It was a beautiful home. Yeah.
No, literally, my jaw dropped when I first walked in, because obviously I looked at the houses next door, and it was a condo community, so like they all probably look similar. Did I not know that this house was literally like the gem of the community? I like every upgrade, every finish, crown molding.
Okay.
Whatever the word is, like wow, like it was crazy. Breathtaking, yeah. Like I swear, like I just was like starstruck, and Libby's like just walking me through. I'm like, oh shit, I need to be taking notes. I'm like, I want to move in,
right?
But yeah, so like it worked beautifully, like that marketing strategy of coming soon Wednesday, on market Friday, showing start at 4 p.m., open house at 4 p.m.
That's right. That's
so
right.
The first phase,
and you're there. You have all the details. So yeah, that works perfectly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then after that, get offers. I'll present those offers to my seller.
Right.
I'll tell them the advantages, disadvantages of each one, and then I always like to say, my professional opinion is X, Y, and Z.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of and I always make sure to say with that, you have the ultimate decision of where you want to go.
That's right.
This is my recommendation.
That's right.
So then my sellers usually will take a day or two, they'll think it over, they'll let it sink in, and then they'll make that decision. And then I will send out a mass email blast to everyone who put in an offer and say, either thank you for submitting an offer on behalf, but unfortunately my sellers decided to go one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll kind of just list it out, thank you so much, all that, and then
absolutely
I'll follow up with the agents the agent that did get their offer accepted, congratulate them, go through it, and then I also set expectations with that buyer's agent as well of what's next.
I was just about to say, and then also, setting those expectations. Here's what's next in the process, getting everyone looped in with the, for me, it's the title company, it's also who's ever financing the property.
Right.
So that everyone is just in a loop.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Especially in the real estate industry.
These shoes.
No, I'm obsessed with them.
They just keep squeaking.
No, as they should. They just want to get noticed. They want their little moment. But yeah, I mean, in this industry, communication's everything. Mm-hmm. You cannot drop the ball. Because if you do, the second that you drop that ball, it's not bouncing back.
Yep, that's it. Communication is big.
It's key to making sure that the transaction goes smoothly.
Yep.
So, that's kind of like my
listing process.
Other than that, yeah, I mean, it's just staying in communication with I always do a weekly follow-up with everyone. Mm-hmm. If I'll always find something saying, hey, this is how many showings we had, this is how many offers we received, whatever, blah, blah, blah. This is the feedback we received. Mm-hmm. And I always say, this is the next step.
Indeed.
Because it tells them where we're going next.
And I'll say this. So much like your process, we'll go through the listing process, presentation, mm-hmm. pricing strategy, things like that. We'll compose a listing launch plan, mm-hmm. and that is emailed out. And again, what's next? Here's what's next. In that, I also include the multiple offer spreadsheet, so that the seller will see how, when the offers come in, this is how I plug and play the information and communicate it over to them. It's also a way to track the information. Mm-hmm. Aside from that, you hit everything. You nailed it. Just keeping everyone informed.
Yeah.
Including, hey, this is what will happen if the home is on the market for a certain amount of time.
Right.
A price reduction sheet and things like that.
I totally forgot, but yeah.
Yeah, no. Well, the goal is not to have to do a price reduction.
Right.
But sometimes things happen.
Even when let's say we listed a house today, and not in this market if you price it correctly, mm-hmm. but it sits on the market for like a month or two. Something in that neighborhood might have affected where that sale is going. Mm-hmm. So that's why I do tell sellers, even though this is what I believe it is now, it might change in 30, 60 days, 90 days, because there might be a house sale across the street that might have affected your price point now. Might have bumped it up, might have bumped it down. And if I'm coming at you from the listing agent's role in saying, hey, I think we need to do a price reduction, I'm always going to explain to you why.
That's right.
I'm never going to say, hey, Shalonda, we need to drop the price $10,000.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah, and that's a delicate conversation you have to have. Because, yeah, you can piss some people off.
Sure.
But it's just, I think it's also just making sure you're presenting all the information.
That's right.
To where they can't disagree with it.
Making sure all I's are dotted and all T's are crossed.
Period.
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 So.
Is there anything else I'm missing on the listing side? And then closing.
Right.
And then
closing.
Occupancy if you're giving it to them.
Yeah.
And then that key exchange. But other than that, really, I mean, the listing side's job is primarily marketing.
Absolutely.
Marketing and communication, I think, are the two skills a listing agent need to have.
Fair enough.
Let's talk about buyers, agents.
Yeah.
Shalonda, tell me what's your process as a buyer's agent.
As a buyer's agent, it also starts with the intake, whether that's phone, email, or whatever the case may be. A text have been coming in more lately, and that is just understanding their needs, their thought process, and seeing if they've spoken to anyone else and if they're ready to get started, setting an appointment up for actual consultation.
What does the phone call look like?
So the phone call,
or a text message.
Yeah. So if a phone call comes in, hi, you've reached Shalonda. No. Hi, Shalonda speaking. To whom do I have the pleasure of speaking with? And then we'll go from there. Okay, you're looking to buy a property. Have you spoken to any other agents or things like that typically first? And then just understanding. So what are you looking for? How soon are you looking to get there? Just really quickly. And how much do you know about the process?
Okay.
But it's not going to be like, oh, we're going to go over the whole process.
Right.
And have you been pre-approved? And depending on the answers or the responses, kind of pivot from there. And then how soon can we set up an appointment to get you scheduled for a full consultation to go over the information and things like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so once we go through the consultation and discover the needs, the why, the goals, we'll set up autumn drips if we're continuing in the process and they're ready to move forward, things like that. Just setting the expectations really of what's happening. For me, working with buyers, I like to present properties from a listing standpoint.
Okay.
To be honest, so that's making sure that I'm pretty much doing the same research that maybe the listing agent has done.
Right.
Because now I have to sell it to my buyer.
Exactly.
And so this is what it looks like from an owner's perspective, because essentially the buyers become the owner.
Right.
And so what that means to them and things like that. Always staying in communication. We'll pick a scheduled day and time typically to find out what the discoveries are for the week or the day, the month. It depends, because things are selling fast. Properties are selling fast.
Oh.
They're on the market and
gone.
sold the same day in some cases.
Right.
So just what does that look like for a buyer in the event that they was like as well, to get out to go see those properties for them.
Right. And I like the fact you asked the question, is someone else able to step in? Because working in the industry, we know, like, what you said, properties come and go like that.
That's right.
In a day, literally.
Yeah.
So, I think it's important, especially I do the same thing with my buyers. I definitely warn them on like the urgency of things. Like, we have to go. Like, if I'm sending you a property, we're gonna go see it today.
That's right.
Like, we can't wait till next week because it's gonna be gone by next week.
And so one thing too that I implement is their needs and must-haves. So once we uncover what your needs and must-haves are, this is the property that I'm going to show you. This is what I'm going to find for you. And because ideally this is what you said you must have and that you need. And so even setting expectation, after maybe 10 properties, we're going to have to come back if none of those properties suit your needs to rediscover what it is you really need.
I like that. I really like that.
Yeah.
I think it also helps with the clarity of the buyers as well, because sometimes they'll be saying what they want or need, but it doesn't actually match what they're really looking for. And I love the fact that now you're like, this is what I wrote down for what we're looking for. We saw 10 properties that hit every single one of those check marks.
That's right.
What are we missing?
What are we missing? And so they have to sign off on it. And because here's the thing, if we're shopping, that means something about my job is off.
Right. Yeah, we shouldn't be seeing a million homes.
We shouldn't, unless we're putting in offers and those offers are being beat out, we shouldn't be seeing a million different homes. They're going to easily be burned out.
Right. Oh, I get it. Like, I've even told some of my buyers who, I mean, we've seen a million places, but we have been putting a million offers in. We just unfortunately keep getting turned down. And I just keep saying, I would say to them, like, listen, I understand if you guys want to take a break. I won't be offended if there's like a week or two you guys just want to take off of the buying process, because I understand it can get mentally exhausting.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Going out, seeing properties, hoping for offers to get accepted, the anticipation, the timeline of things, and then it can be hard. I get it. So I think it's just back to the communication. It's just making sure we're all on the same page with everything.
That's right.
And maybe we just have to develop a new game strategy at that point, right? Like, maybe we shouldn't be seeing things that are instantly coming on the market. Maybe we should be looking at things like that have been on the market for 30 days, because those don't seem to be having competitive buyers coming into that as well.
That's right.
Maybe we could have a competitive advantage on that. We could get a lower price point, or ask for seller concessions, right?
Indeed.
It's just figuring out, the most important part is about the buyers, is what they're looking for, what their needs, their wants, and must-haves.
Yep.
Next is, how do we transform that into figuring out where those properties are? So if you're looking at a certain location, but nothing matches that criteria, either we have to change the house, or we have to change the location. Which one is it? And then it's really just about the strategy now. Especially like I was just saying with my buyers, I think it's time we need to change that strategy, because I think when we're losing out on these properties, where do you think those other buyers who also lost out on? They're going to that same other property. Like, we're just in the same loop of things.
Yep.
Things have to change.
When you do things over and over the same way, you get the same results as insanity?
That's literally the definition of insanity, is thinking that doing the exact same thing is going to get you a different result.
Yeah.
It's not.
It's not, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, you keep pedaling, you're going to keep going on your bike. It's not going to automatically put you in the air, I promise you. Like, so I think, I like to have my buyers over-prepared, and sometimes I think that can scare them. But my buyer's consultation, it's easily an hour.
Well, here's the thing. We have to go over the ins and outs of these processes, and it can be scary. But if it is scary and it's something that our clients feel like they can't overcome or win, then it may not necessarily be that right time.
Right.
It's anything that takes time is worthwhile.
100%. I told one of my buyers, we talked about buying a house last year. And I said, great, tell me about the cash you guys have saved up to put as your down payment. If we have to do an escalation clause and we don't hit that appraisal number, you'll have to bring cash to the table. Or, if we don't do an appraisal guarantee, then we'll have to renegotiate. And in today's market, that's kind of tough, because you might just have a cash offer that hits the table, and then Seller's like, oh, no appraisal, deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's just like I said, over preparing my buyers for each case.
Yeah.
And what that scenario brings.
Mm-hmm.
And how do we overcome that or move to the next step.
That's right. That's right.
So I think for the buy side, for me, it's more just the advising aspect of things. And I love it because it's the educational aspect that I get to give. And a lot of my clients right now are first-time home buyers. Majority of them are. And it's fun because you know what? You genuinely feel like, well, you know that they'll never forget about you because they'll never, no one forgets about the first time they got their house.
That's right.
Their first house they'll always remember.
That's right.
Maybe their fourth one or their third one, they'll be like, okay, like I have some memories, but like nothing crazy. But their first one,
they'll always remember the first one.
Always stick out in their head.
I love that.
And they also feel very grateful. That's what I've also noticed. They're
Absolutely.
very grateful for the experience.
And even part of my process, if I jump in to add to the point of a buyer's agent, I like to have my clients understand when we're going to see different properties, here's the other potential uses of these properties.
Oh, yeah.
And so even if it doesn't cross all your boxes, let's look at it from this angle, this perspective, and see what you think about it. Because home ownership comes with, you know, the equity and things like that, and other advantages that others don't have. You know, renters don't have. You have, you can pretty much do whatever with your property. Well, don't let me say that.
Yeah, there's some fine lines to that.
Yeah, absolutely. But there's other avenues you can take with your property. You know, if there comes a time where you want to lease it out, you know, use it as an income property, it's yours.
That's one of my clients' ideas, is he's going to buy a house. He'll live in it for like a couple of years and then he'll turn it into a rental. I'm like, that's fantastic. So now I'm glad he told me, because that changed the conversation as we're showing houses, right?
Yes.
Because now when we're walking in, I'm like, oh, this is a great space, whatever. But then, like, let's say we go to the backyard. I love that it's fenced, because you know what? If you bring a renter who has a dog, he doesn't have to worry about the dog now. You know what? That's a value added to that renter.
Absolutely.
So I talk about it in those aspects too. And it's really about speaking the same language as your buyers.
That's it.
And you don't know that language until you start asking. A good job, especially with the buyers that I work with.
That's it.
Because you just have. It's not about asking questions; it's about asking the right.
Right questions. That's right.
And I know you do that.
No, I do not.
Yes, you do. Yeah, you do.
I ask a lot of questions, but
the right ones are in there.
The right ones are in there.
She just wants to know more about you guys.
Listen,
she wants to know about the clients she's serving.
I love working with people, just in general.
Yeah,
you know,
you're a
it
people
makes me
person.
happy. Just because I know that the world is full of bright people, and it's our responsibility, I feel like, just to be our brother's keeper.
Yeah.
And as sister's keeper as well. But we're here, and you never know what someone is going through.
Right.
And so.
100%. I think, just nurturing that relationship to the best it can be, I think, especially in a industry like this.
Yeah.
It's important.
And once we work together, we're family. You're not getting rid of me. I'm at cookouts. I'm wherever the family is.
I told one of my buyers, I was like, as soon as you guys move in, I'm moving in too.
Exactly.
Like, you guys just thought this was for you? Like,
right?
Thanks for paying for a house for me too. Like,
the neighbors are going to be like, is that your realtor?
Right.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I make that joke every time I go see a house. I'm like, okay, cool, this is my bedroom.
See?
And it's just, it breaks the ice, makes them laugh, you know, and it builds that trust.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so let's say now after we found the house, this is your buyer's agent time to shine.
Oh my goodness.
So the offer gets written.
Offer is written.
You guys will talk about escalation clauses, appraisals, inspections, what you guys want to do to make your offer as competitive as possible. The buyer's agent will call the listing agent, see what motivates the seller, if it's price, if it's occupancy, if it's the seller wants to sell some of their furniture. If you'll take some of their furniture, it makes it easier.
Yeah.
Deal. And then I'll relay that back to the buyers and say, what are you willing to do?
Yeah.
We'll write an offer the best that we can. I'll submit it. I'll have my lender always call the listing agent and vouch for my buyers.
Yeah.
If it's a mortgage sale. If it's cash, obviously not. And then I'll just build that rapport with the listing agent, and I'll say, when are you going to present offers? When can we expect an answer? And then really just making sure I'm staying in communication.
Indeed. One thing that I failed to mention just recently, I'm working with a broker who's able to provide me with a listing report card. And so included in this listing report card is just some of the market projections and things like that. And so I'm beginning to implement it where I'll submit that over to my clients on either side, listing or buy, so they can just have a different understanding and perspective from the finance side of what the value of the property is, what the projections are,
Right.
when they can, if they need to pull equity out and things like that. And how
That's smart.
it
Because it just gives
changes.
them more
Yeah.
information, right? Worst comes to worst, they don't want it, they just don't look at it.
Right, exactly.
Right. I mean, best comes to best, they look at it and it helps them make their decision
Yeah.
even more confidently.
Absolutely.
Which then they'll come back and say, Shalonda was the best. You have to work with my girl, Shalonda. Right?
Indeed.
Offer gets submitted, gets accepted, and then next step that we go into is getting our inspection done.
Yep.
So the buyer's agent will be there, the buyers will be there,
Mhm.
the inspector will be there. It's a
Yep.
private inspection, right?
Yep.
It usually takes hour and a half, 2 hours.
Depending on the square footage.
Yeah,
of the home.
that's even better answer.
Yeah.
Depending on the square footage of the home, I mean, yeah. You'll have an inspector, they'll go through every nook and cranny of that house.
Mhm.
And the inspectors I use, they have like a little tablet, they'll run through it, they'll take
Mhm.
pictures, and at the very end of their inspection, they'll go over their report with the buyers and
Yeah.
the buyer's agent. So then they'll go through it, they'll tell you everything that needs to get immediately done now, things that need to get done but don't need to get done right at this moment. And they'll just tell you, mine will tell you estimates of how much it costs to get
Mhm.
done, because as a realtor, sometimes I don't know those
Yeah.
answers, and it's helpful when I'm negotiating with the listing side to say, listen, there's a crack in the attic that needs to get patched up. It's going to cost $1,000. You willing to take that off the purchase price? Yes or no? And then it goes into the negotiation
Mhm.
stage. And that's where I think your buyer's agent's time to shine is not even negotiating with the listing side, but also kind of talking it through with the buyers as well. Like, what's the best case scenario with negotiations? What's the worst case scenario? What are you willing to compromise on? What are you not willing
That's
to?
right.
Because
That's
if you want,
important.
we can walk away.
Yeah, that's
We have every
important.
right to do that. At the end of the day, the buyer can always kill the deal.
That's right. Yeah.
Sometimes with ramifications, sometimes without.
True. And during that buyer's inspection with their inspector, I'm also asking questions just because some buyers don't know what to ask.
True.
And some inspectors, just because they have that experience, aren't always necessarily thinking how to relay this information at that time of the walkthrough. Yes, it'll be included in the report, but let's be honest, some people just aren't reading those reports.
Yes. My buyers didn't. They asked for
Yeah.
a little synopsis.
Exactly.
Of it.
And so I'm there taking notes as well
Mhm.
while we're walking through with the inspector.
Mhm.
And I'll make sure I go over those reports in addition to my notes so that everything is clear.
Right. You don't want your buyers to be confused out.
Right, exactly.
Because
Yeah.
if they're confused, you're confused.
Exactly. And so one thing that I also have is a vendors list,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to cut some people out of the network of vendors.
Yeah. It happens.
Yeah, it happens. We learn who to who to go with and who not to go with. But with certain repairs, hey, no worries, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer. I have so and so who will take care of these needs if you choose, if you don't have anyone else in mind.
And I think that's such a value add as a agent, saying to a buyer, let's say, especially like even like a first time home buyer, like if you had issues with your pipes, right? If you're a first time home buyer, do you really know someone who, maybe you do, maybe you don't. If your agent knows someone and can refer them out to you and say, hey, you have to use my guy.
Yeah.
He's the best. That makes you look so good as the agent, as long as they do the work right and get it all done in the right manner.
Correct.
But then they'll always remember you every time they look at that pipe.
And here's the thing, right? I fire people. I fire clients. I fire vendors. It doesn't matter. If you don't do the right thing, you're fired. You're fired. So.
No, fair enough, though. I mean, at the end of the day, it's your business.
Absolutely.
And if you do bad business, you're going to get fired from the business.
See?
So I'm firing people before they fire me.
Exactly. Industry will fire you. No, you're fired before I'm fired.
Do not play around with Shalonda. She will fire you like...
I don't mind.
She only wants the best on her team.
Yeah, that's it.
I have to respect that.
Because I put my best effort in. And so...
If you're not getting that back from your vendors, then...
Yeah.
Or even clients.
Or clients, yeah, absolutely.
I'm sorry, it's not working out.
It's not.
Respectfully, I can't do this.
Yeah. If you're ready to work, I'm ready to work. If you're 100% committed, I'm 110% committed.
I love it.
That's
I love
it.
that. That's a good line. If you're 100%, I'm 110.
That's it. Seriously, though, because what other way is there to do business?
There is no other way.
You want to go to your dentist or whatever the case may be, and they're only doing 50%.
I was gonna say, imagine your dentist is like, yeah, I'm a 50% business kind of guy. I would be like, get me out of this chair.
Right now.
I'm running out.
Yeah, absolutely. And so because we're and then too, we're in the sales industry. Well, not sales, service industry. You know, so.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, if we don't provide our best, there's another realtor right behind us that would be killing for that opportunity.
Indeed.
So I don't allow that to happen.
We didn't show up to be number 2.
No. Second is the first to lose.
You see what I'm saying? If you're not first, then you last.
I don't like to lose.
Shout out to the Ballad of Ricky Bobby and Talladega Nights. That's what he said.
But no, I totally agree. And that's like the philosophy I wake up on every day. If you're number 2, you're the first to lose.
Absolutely.
And I hate to lose.
I'm a sore loser.
I am too.
Yeah, I don't like losing.
Yeah.
I'll get over it, of course. But
eventually.
Part of the reason I don't like losing is because I put so much effort into the win the first go round.
And I think when people say I'm not a sore loser, I'm like, then you didn't try hard enough. Because it should affect you if you lost.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what?
If you gave your best and you gave it all, like 110%.
Yeah.
If you aren't a little upset that you lost,
I'm concerned.
That just to me that means you didn't try your hardest.
Yeah.
You know how people are like, oh, if you're not nervous, like you don't care about it. If you don't care about losing, then you just don't try.
That's true. That's true. Now the nervous part, I don't know. I go in.
No, I get nervous, but like I feel like it's more like excitement. If that makes sense.
I think that makes sense.
You know, like it's like I'm a little bit nervous.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
That's what I summed it up to.
Yeah.
Let's jump back in real quick.
Yeah.
So
let's wrap this up.
Our inspection period is over. Our lender has ordered for the appraisal to be done.
Yep.
And so now we're waiting to hear back from the appraiser. Then we get a clear to close.
Mm-hmm.
Well, once the appraisal comes back, that's another a time in the
due diligence period.
Then we get to go back if things aren't up to par with the appraisal and renegotiate.
Exactly. So I tell my buyers there's a couple different stages that we can walk away. That's with inspection, and that's with appraisal. If there's issues with our appraisal, meaning the bank's value of what the home is, and that doesn't match where our offer is, and if we didn't do an appraisal guarantee or whatever, then yeah, you have every right to walk away. And guess what? You can also keep your EMD with that, right? That's how my contracts are always written.
Yep.
My contracts on the buy side, obviously, are written to the buyer's favor, right?
Absolutely.
If you don't like the way that inspection report came out, great, we can walk away. You'll get your money back. If you don't like the appraisal, I guess you can't say, well, the appraisal doesn't fall where we thought it was going to.
Exactly.
And it just won't work out, walk away and we'll get your money back.
Yeah.
We'll just look again.
Yeah, because if it doesn't appraise at value, then the bank is only going to extend the value of the home anyhow. So
To what that appraised value is,
Yeah.
right? They're not gonna, let's say we put an offer for $200 and it appraised at $180. Now you have $20,000 you have to make up because they're only gonna lend you the $180.
Exactly.
And plus, you still have to figure out like your down payment,
Closing costs, taxes, insurance.
Exactly.
Well, that's incorporated in closing costs, but yes.
Commissions,
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
of that stuff.
Exactly.
So there's a lot of factors, and this is, especially with buyers and your consultation, this is so important to talk about. Because you don't want to be doing this when like you have to make decisions like instantly.
Indeed.
So like we only have 12 hours before we have to decide if we're walking or keeping it. Well, that's gonna freak your buyers out.
Yes.
So I think kind of like what we were talking about the whole time with this buy side is that I love just to educate, and sometimes, like I said, I can be an over educator, but I don't mind doing it.
Who doesn't want to be overly educated?
Some people don't.
Oh, well, you know what? They want to run to Google for all the information. But guess what? No need to run to Google because you have my number. So call me, Shalonda, at 586-339-8321. Or you can visit me at shalonda.kw.com and shalonda@kw.com. So that's spelled SHALAUNDA. I am your Google of real estate. Or you can call my guy Dylan here.
I'm also your Google of real estate. Sorry, that was really good. You can either call or text to 248-891-9860, or you can check out my website to get all my information on there as well. That is at dylanmostyn.com, spelled DYLANMOSTYN.com. You can go check it out there. But with the buy side, last thing I want to say is...
I'm sorry.
You're fine. I saw how excited you got. The last thing is, after your appraisal, is just making sure title is free of any liens, clouds, whatever. Making sure
encumbrances and things like that. Yeah.
Making sure it's all clean, no issues. The owners are the ones who are able to sell. You're able to buy. Life is good, and then you'll close, and then if there's occupancy with the sellers, then you will do a key exchange after, and then it's a happy day. You got a new house.
Ta-da!
Ta-da!
So we make the process seem very easy, but I'm more than happy to share my checklist with my clients so that you can really see step by step what you're getting on my side.
And that's one thing I do during my consultation too. I have like a whole spreadsheet of like my own spreadsheet, not even to like my own buyers, of what I have to do, and I show that to my buyers. I'm like, this is the job that I do for you guys.
Yes.
I'm not going to tell you every time I do something on this checklist. I'll just check it off. But yeah, I'm doing all this, like making sure the mortgage is in place, title, all that stuff. Like there's so many pieces that move, but have to move organized.
Order for the title, go over the title, commitments and things like that. Make sure everything is intact, and
the Alta statement, going over that with my clients, making sure everything's correct.
Absolutely,
it's a lot of steps.
Even going over the mortgage terms, I've gone over mortgage terms because my clients like, hey, is this right? And is Not saying it's right, but here's what it's saying.
Right. This, like, let me tell you what it's saying on
exactly.
the paper, right?
Yeah.
And just making sure like everything's clear, because if your buyers don't understand, then who does?
Exactly. Because 3 days prior, you should at least have all the closing documents, disclosures, and things like that, the CDs, to go over.
Correct.
Until we go over those as well.
Yeah. Anything that we missed?
Nope.
I think.
Get ready to buckle the family in and let's go on this real estate journey together.
So if you, well, actually, more important question is, who do you guys know who's looking to either make a move within the next 6 to 12 months? Let us know so that we can at least start getting this process rolling. Because I like to tell all of my clients, you have to start earlier than you think.
Absolutely.
You think you have enough time, but really, everything in this market is moving crazy.
That's right.
So let's get ahead of the ball.
Yeah, let's plan now.
100%.
Yeah,
Get the plan in place, just so that when we are actively ready, we're good to go.
Yeah, and if we need to implement changes along the way, we can implement those changes.
Exactly.
Here's the thing, the only failed mission is a mission that isn't executed. So if you're the person or you know someone that is ready to enter in this process, but they don't know where to begin or who to call, we're here. We've ran it down for you all. So please share even this podcast episode and make that call. You know, the fear of the unknown keeps us stagnant many times. And it's time now that we shine. We shine. We eliminate those fears, and we start to navigate those waters until we reach that finish line and we win.
Imperfect action always beats
perfect inaction.
Bam. So start by giving us a call today.
So it's been a pleasure, you guys. We look forward to doing this again next week, as always, next Wednesday. So join us.
Yeah, just join us. We should do like a live audience next time.
Oh, that would be nice.
That would be fun. Sorry, that was just food for thought. Thanks, guys, for joining us on the 23rd episode.
Yes, indeed. We will see you. Take care now.
Bye. Bam.